Welcome to Coaching the Brave podcast with Yvonne Chase. I am Yvonne Chase, and I am here to provide you positivity and possibility because hope and community is something that we all strive for and we all really need. So enjoy and sit back. I am so thankful that you are here another week because what we're going to be discussing here is just so many fun people who are not only part of the military community, but who are also part of the civilian community and who have things to offer for the military. And it's not only about interviews and chatting together, but it's also about experiences of coaching and meditations and just fun little quirky things that come to mind that I just want to share with you. And I hope that they bring you a light at the end of the day to take with you to the rest of the week. And I hope you really enjoy. Without further ado, let's get into it. Good morning, everybody. We have one of my really awesome friends here today. Her name I will get to in just a moment, but I just want to introduce her and what she's all about for you for just a little bit here. She is a veteran military spouse and writer of poetry and prose. Her writing invites readers to hold space for the complexities of living as she delves into topics related to mental health, identity, and faith. She is currently the managing editor of the Fallow House. Her writing has been featured in Magnolia Journal, the Fallow House, the Honest Co., The World Needs More Love Letters, and more. She lives near Charlotte, North Carolina, with her husband and 3 children. Connecting with us today is Katie Drobina.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here with you.
Oh my gosh, it's been too long. I'm so excited too.
Yes. Yes.
So how is everything going right now, right in this present moment for you?
Good. I'm feeling good. The sun is out today and we've had rain for the whole week. So it feels really great to see some sun and to open the windows a little bit. Yeah, we're getting used to North Carolina winters, which are very different than Tennessee or other places we've lived. So yeah, when the sun comes out, it's all the windows, all the curtains are open.
Oh my gosh, yes. Get all that clarity, all of the vitamin D you can.
Yes.
After a whole week of rain, I can imagine. That's what we were
Yes.
expecting here in Washington, all the rain, but there has not been a lot of rain.
Wow.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
amazing.
Yeah, it's super different from 22 years ago when I was here living before. It's definitely
Yeah,
nice.
that's nice. We'd love to get
Yeah.
out there sometime.
Oh, yeah. You're
Beautiful.
always welcome.
Okay.
Well, all you who are listening, Katie and I met where we used to live. We were stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky together, and we were neighbors, and we just hit it
Yes.
off right away.
Yes, and our kids did too, so that
Yep.
helped. They all
Oh,
had buddies,
100%.
so
Yeah.
yep.
They all kind of grew up together in the short time that we were there together, and
Oh, for sure.
it's a
For
roller
sure.
coaster, but it was good. It was
It was
a
good.
memorable time.
Yes. 2020.
Oh, yeah. So tell us a little snapshot of your years before joining the military in like 15 minutes or less, including like
For sure, yeah.
yeah, like where you're from and what your schooling is, if you have any.
Yeah, I grew up in Missouri, born in St. Louis, and then moved about 45 minutes west of St. Louis when I was only 3 or 4 years old. And then I lived in the same house from age 4 until I left for college, which, that stability was great, but also I wasn't used to moving a lot. So that was a change for sure. So I grew up on a Missouri River, a small town on the Missouri River, which had its own culture and its own identity. And I fought that identity so hard for so long, just very much wanting to to get out of there and get to a big city, and just explore outside of my comfort zone, really. My first year of college, I went to a school in Chicago, spent a year in Chicago, quickly realized did not have enough financial aid to sustain that. So I ended up at a school in St. Louis, Missouri, and finished up my degree there. And while I was there, I realized I was majoring in education, and I realized that I was not drawn to teaching groups of children 25 plus. I was drawn to the one or two who were really struggling and just needed someone to be close to them and to understand them, and to be a support person to them. And so before I finished my bachelor's degree, I decided to go ahead and get my master's in social work. And so I attended the University of Missouri and received my MSW.
Yes.
And yes, so I have my MSW. I'm not currently using that per se in traditional methods. But in that time is when I met Todd. I met Todd my senior year of college. Um, and so my experience with the military really started there, at that point.
Wow. Was he already in the military, or did you guys decide
Yeah,
to?
so Todd had already been in the military. He had already been in for, I can't remember, I think it was about 5 years.
Okay.
And so we actually met on eHarmony.
Nice.
There's no way we would have met otherwise. He was at that time he was serving in Iraq, and I was in St. Louis, and so I mean we had, you know, continents between us. um,
Amazing.
and we met on eHarmony, and um, he didn't know it, but I knew it, that like that was it, like that was the one. And so the first 6 months of our relationship were extremely long distance, with him being in the Middle East and me being in the Midwest of the United States. And we at that time, it wasn't like deployments are now where you have a lot more access.
Mm,
Smartphones weren't really a thing. Skype, if anyone remembers Skype was a
yes.
thing.
Yep.
And so we Skyped a few times, but he was also able to use his, he worked for a general at the time, and he was able to use his sat phone. So the
Nice.
first time we ever spoke was via sat phone, which is just so funny to think about. Like, that's really typical military.
Right?
Right.
Can't get any more
And
military than
you're right. And so, yeah, like the first time we spoke, it was just kind of surreal to get a phone call from a sat number. Um, and yeah, our relationship stayed long distance for a bit, until he came back to the States, and he was stationed in Arizona. And then I went down there for a summer. Um, and the rest is history. We got engaged and then married, and the military life began for me.
That is so beautiful. I love that you were able to harness yourself in the fact that you lived in a smaller town. You were there just nurtured and protected. And then you decided, hey, I want to just broaden my wings and my reality and go as far as
Yeah.
getting your master's. Like, that is amazing. I love that. I praise you
Thank
so much
you.
for that. Yeah.
Thank you. I've always been driven, so that it was kind of in the natural progression of things, I think. And I love learning. Like that's something I still love to do. I'm just a continuous learner,
Mhm.
and that will never change no matter how old I get, I think. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And then, when you and Todd got married, what was your first duty station? Where did the army take or the military take you?
yeah, so that's interesting. Our first duty station together was Fort Hood, in Texas, and we very typical military. We got married in May. I moved to Texas with him, and then in August, I had to come back to Missouri because I was in my second year of grad school. And so that first year of marriage was spent separated quite a bit, like geographically separated. Um, yeah, and then that January, I found out I was pregnant with our first baby, and so that was a big transition and change as well. Um, and from there, actually, we do have like kind of a non-traditional pause in service that we've experienced. Todd left the army. Um, he was enlisted, and his MOS wasn't promoting. And so he left to finish his degree with the intent to go back as an officer. And
Yes.
so we spent almost 2 years outside of the active duty side, but in that time he was in the reserves.
Okay.
And then when that would have been when my little guy was almost 2, Todd went back in and went through OCS, and that's where the rest of our career picked back up, and we spent probably the most time together in that portion of the career.
Okay. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. And I love the fact that you brought that up because a lot of who I've been talking to is Army because that's my home,
Mhm.
Army. But being in the reserves, tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about that. Those were 2 years of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so very different. Much more laid back for sure. It's a weekend, basically a weekend a month, and then they do like a 2-week training in the summer, at least at the time we were there. Um, and it was not, I mean, I almost don't even remember being a part of the military in that time because it's just not the same.
Okay.
They're only doing it on weekends once a month. Um, and the unit he was with, there was no big community surrounding it. So it's very different for sure.
Oh, yeah. And going to the support aspect, did you have a
Mhm.
community of your own with other spouses, or how was your life while he
In the
was?
reserves,
Yeah.
there was not really a community, for us in our situation. So, no, there was nothing like that, but I would say the stressors were so different that it was okay because I had community elsewhere.
Okay.
So yeah, and the pressures aren't the same, at least in our experience. It's just very different.
Yeah. And I love to bring that up too because we're all so personality different that
Mhm.
how were you able to have that community elsewhere? How, like, let's say if there was someone who is in the reserves listening right now, like
Yeah.
what could you give them for, I don't know, some type of outreach or some type of community outside for
Yeah, I
them?
mean, I know that there are programs for reserve families. Um, Maybe Blue Ribbon program is one of them.
Or
But
like
there
more
are
personal, like what were you able to do? Like what was that
Yeah, I
like?
think so at that point, I was more involved in my actual community where we were living. And so finding a church was important. So being
Mm,
involved in a church.
yes.
Um, I also had a new baby, and so there was a lot of at home time and not as much outreach. And I was working full time.
Oh, were
So,
you?
yeah, so my job was probably where I spent a lot of most of my time within community.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mhm.
Awesome. And then what about your family? Where were you guys in the reserves? Were you back in Missouri or were you in
Yeah, we were in
Texas?
Missouri, and
Oh,
so we
cool.
were about an hour from my family, so that was helpful too, like, we had family
Yeah.
around, which was good, because on the active side, we were never that close
Yeah.
to either of our families.
Yeah. I mean, Texas to Missouri, that's what driving, it's not even.
Yeah, it was probably 12 hours, and
Yeah.
then we were stationed the farthest we've been stationed is El Paso,
Oh
Texas,
gosh.
and so that was 20 to 24 hours of
Yeah.
a drive.
That's
So,
like 4
yeah,
days in a drive.
we would do it in like 10 hours one day, 10 hours the next day, and just
Yeah.
hope and pray that we could make it. It was rough.
Especially with littles.
Yes. Yep,
Yeah.
and a dog. Yeah, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
hard.
We make those sacrifices though,
We
right?
do. I learned how to Tetris my van like no other. I
Yes.
can pack a van so well, with all the living creatures safely tucked in as well. So
Yes.
those skills, life skills.
Yep, absolutely. And then tell us about how your career flourished within that military life and how
Yeah,
you
I
were able
think
to, like, stay connected to it.
so. It's an interesting topic because in some respects, I did give up my career. I did set it down. My career in social work, I had intended to become a clinical social worker,
Mhm.
um, and provide counseling services on an to individuals. And that was just for me. I did not have the capacity to do that. To be a military spouse, raising children thousands of miles away from family, and pursue my career. So in some ways, I lost a lot, and I think that's a topic that's not often discussed among military communities are the sacrifices of the spouses.
Mhm.
Um, Not that we're sacrificing our lives or limbs or,
Right.
not to the extent, but there are these little losses that happen along the way,
Mhm.
as we choose to support our service members. And that was one for me. That was one I am only now starting to recognize as needing to be grieved and also needing to be just held and explored again now that we're outside of that. Now, for my writing, I will say the military, like the lifestyle, gave me opportunities to explore my writing
Mm.
by, in some ways, um, being at home alone with children and husband deployed, like, there was time to think and to dream, um, and to find poetry in places that were feeling really hard and challenging, and also finding it in places that were really beautiful that I just wanted to capture as almost a snapshot. And so I kind of stumbled my way back into that poetry and creative writing after the birth of my second baby, um, and found an online community of writers, which became such a source of inspiration and, um, I think just this coming together in a way that I could do no matter where we moved. Like it didn't matter if we moved Oconus, if we stayed in the States, it didn't matter what time zone I was in. I could be a part of this community and I would not have to say goodbye.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, that's
and
so
so
powerful.
it was so powerful. I think online communities, I would say after 2020, I think there's more appreciation for them for sure. But I do still think people don't fully accept the power of an online space,
Mhm.
that's created to be intentional. And so finding that community was literally a lifeline through the multiple deployments we had and moves. We moved 9 times in 10 years,
Mm.
and that's a lot of transition,
Yes.
for a grown up, but also for kids, and trying to be a grown up to help walk kids through that requires a different level of resiliency and grace and kindness that I don't think I knew I possessed until I walked through it.
Ah,
Um,
you're
and
speaking the
so
words right now. Preach.
Oh, it's hard. I mean, it's one of those baptism by fire moments.
Yes.
We had 2 deployments in the course of 3 years, and our last deployment, he deployed 8 weeks after the world shut down with COVID. And we had just moved, like, we moved 10 days before lockdown into our new home right next to you guys in
Yep.
Tennessee or Kentucky, and then the world shut down, and 8 weeks later, he deployed.
Mm.
Um, and that was a very, very challenging time, I think, for me personally as a military spouse.
Yeah, I mean, just not, the world knowing about this uncertainty event,
Mhm.
and then not having your husband knowing that he's fighting the fight and who
Mhm.
knows what else, like there's so
Mhm.
much going on in the world.
Yeah, and community, community is huge, and to move into a new community where you can't do anything community-wise because everything's shut down. We were
Yep.
all under lockdown, and rightfully so. We didn't know if we could even introduce ourselves to our neighbors, if
Right.
that was safe,
Right.
and if that's the loving and kind thing to do. So there was just a lot of isolation, um, and I think just the culmination of that truly helped me understand how important community is for all of us, but especially for military families, children, and members. Um, that community is so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that, there's people who are willing and open to that community as well, that makes it 10 times better. When
Yes.
you move to a place and then the world shuts down and it's almost like, what is my identity here? Right? Like, what do I
Yes.
build here? What can I build here? Like, you want to be able
Yeah.
to push those boundaries just a little to see where you fit in. And if you
Hmm.
aren't welcomed into that space, it's hard. It's so hard. But
Yeah.
thankfully we had that.
Yes. Yes. For sure. Our
And
neighborhood was such a great neighborhood, and I'm
yeah,
so grateful for
yeah.
the experience there.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. Me too. I hope and pray for everyone to have that type of experience too, at least somewhere, so they can hold on to that feeling, to the next place
Yeah.
if it's not.
Yes. Yes.
So, it sounds like we're kind of transitioning into possibly like a little bit more of a deeper kind of weighing
Mhm.
situation. So, I'm curious, what was one of the biggest struggles in the military that you could think of
Yeah.
without, breaking?
For sure. I think, for me, and I know for others, one of like the hardest thing for me were the constant transitions. Like I said, we moved a lot and probably a lot more than most people do. We were never anywhere longer than 3 years, and we had several places where we were there for only 6 months at a time. And so there was never this feeling of settling
Mm,
in most places that we were living. So that was really hard for me. I'm an introvert. I love people, but it does cause me to expend energy to get out and be with people. And so there were certainly times in our military service time that I couldn't. When you're someplace for 6 months, there's only so much you can do community wise. And so I had to learn where to show up and how I wanted to show up in a way that was authentic to myself, but also didn't keep me in isolation.
yeah,
And I think I also had to let go of a lot of maybe a lot of the vision of what I thought my life would look like. Um, I don't think I had ever envisioned moving 9 times in 10 years and not having a home that my children like one singular home where my children grow up and have neighbors who are, growing along with them and just a community that becomes like a village.
yeah,
And so I think that was hard for me to grieve that. And of course, the unknowns of like, oh, are we going to have a deployment at this duty station? Or what's the
yeah,
training schedule looking like here? Those were the hardest things. And I know that I'm not alone in that. Like
yeah.
that's a challenge for all of us.
Yeah, and it sounds like, there was some type of planning there too, anticipation that you were able to develop on top of that. Is that true? Am I hearing that right?
How do you mean?
Like leaving that grief, processing through the grief of not being able to kind of plan out what your future would look like or vision,
Yeah.
and then now turning into an expectation, like of planning.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think noticing that what I thought life would be like isn't allowed me to also open up for experiences that I would have never expected. And I have met so many beautiful people in all these different places we've lived, who come from such diverse backgrounds. And I don't think I would have experienced that if we had not been in the military.
Mm.
The people who have been a part of my story have had such an impact, even if they don't know it,
Yeah.
on just broadening my perspective and opening up my heart, and my ability to truly listen and see people, as opposed to jump to conclusions.
Mm.
So, it's one of those like biggest struggles turned to successes. Like, oh
Yeah.
wow, this is a really big struggle, and look what it made way for.
Mm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. This is
Mhm.
amazing. I really hope that it's someone is hearing this and that it's really touching their heart and that they can walk away, with a little bit of hope. Because I know we all
Yes.
struggle with so many different things, and it's so good to
Yes.
hear it from other military spouses who are going through the same. And now that you've again, transitioned to civilian life, how has that been? Because it hasn't. I mean, it's almost a year now.
It'll be a year in April.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. It is hard. It is hard to leave a culture, because essentially that's what you're doing is leaving a culture and an identity, um, and traditions, um, that just have become a way of life. And then you join back in with the civilian world. We're also not in a military community at all.
Okay.
They're the closest military installation I think is Bragg,
Okay.
and that's a couple hours away. So we're not. It's not like we're even in a city that has a base or an installation at all. And so that culture is very far removed from where we live at this point. And so it's been I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It
Right.
has been a challenge. It has been a challenge. Um, Individually for each of us as family members, but also together, we've had to learn to walk through another transition.
Mhm.
Um, but the beautiful thing about it is that in all of these transitions, over the course of our family's timeline, if you will, we've always had each other. That's never changed. That's never left. And I think that's probably one of the greatest successes that we've had as a family is to remember that we are what we need. Like we are here together and we're not going anywhere, no matter how hard it gets, how challenging it gets. And we can do the hard together and we can do the joy together.
Yes.
And yeah, that has been such a blessing, even in the hard moments.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful. And where or how has your faith played a role in your transitions, your life in
Yeah,
general?
we definitely don't have time for that, but I will do my best. Faith has been an evolving thing for me over the years, as it is for most of us, I'm sure, as we go through the various seasons of adulthood and growing up. I grew up in faith. I grew up Lutheran, attended a Lutheran school, so the foundation was laid. And I would say that over the years, it has been mostly a coming to terms with my knowing, my knowledge of my faith, but also the experience of my faith. Um, and that's kind of where I am at this point is in that experience. Like, what does this mean actually to me? Who is God? Who has He been in my life? Who does He continue to be? Trying to find Him in each of the places, um, that have been hard and beautiful. We have always been the family who tries to find a church community,
Mhm.
but we've also struggled with that. When you move so frequently, it can be hard to find that. And we've had several duty stations where we've found great community, faith community, and others where it's just been harder.
Mm.
Um, And now we're actually at a place where we've found a community that I'm just so eager about and excited about, which is great, because it's been a hard couple of years of wrestling with my faith. It can be really easy to wonder where God is when you experience a lot of adversity. And in the military, there's no shortage of adversity
Yeah.
and no shortage of life being interrupted and plans being interrupted, and often just feeling like you're giving, 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 and not getting anything back. And so it's been a journey for sure to really confront God within that, for me. So
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I know and I have faith in you that all will sort itself out.
absolutely, yeah. There are no um, everything on our journey is there for a reason, and even when you're in the midst of it and doesn't make sense, um, it's just so much easier to believe that it's there for a purpose than it is to believe that it's just awful.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where I sit, is like nothing is an accident, and I'm here to learn as I go, and um, just trying to hold gratitude in it all too, no matter if it feels like something to be grateful for
Yeah.
or not.
You have so many amazing nuggets, and your just passion for who you are as a person and your demeanor and all of that is just it's resonating. And I
Thank you
love
for
you,
it's
Katie.
not
I
it's not
do.
just of me. I have been impacted by you and so many wonderful people who have come alongside me when I just can't say that or believe it or view it in that way, and have reminded me. So
Mm.
thank you for you and this podcast and your willingness to show up for us, because it's great. We need that. It's so needed.
Thank you for that confirmation. It's something that's been on my heart for a very long time, and I'm happy that we could share together to
Yes.
the world.
Me too. Me too.
Thank you so much, Katie, for your time today, and I wish you all the best. And I'm sure we'll connect. We're gonna keep connecting.
Yes. Let's have
And
coffee sometime, okay?
yes, let's do
I'll
it.
fly out to Seattle.
Sounds good. And then, with where we can find you, tell us a little bit about that. We have about
Sure.
3 more minutes.
Yeah, so you can find me online. I have my own website at www.katiedrobina.com. My website's not where I spend most of my time. You can find me hanging out more so on Instagram at Katie Drobina, and also on Facebook at Katie Drobina. That's where I share my writing. I share other thoughts. You kind of get a glimpse into my world, my life. Um, and yeah, I'd love to meet you over there and to have you join along. It would be wonderful.
Yeah, your words are inspiring, and they're so touch felt. They're heartfelt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie. I hope you have a great
Mhm.
day.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
What an amazing conversation that was. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise, your knowledge, and your skills with the Coaching the Brave community. We appreciate you so much. And for you listeners out there, if you enjoyed it and it really touched your heart and you thought of someone that it could benefit, share it with them. Thank you again for listening. I encourage you to review, check out my website as well, YovanaChase.com, and find me on Instagram and Facebook at Yovana Chase Coaches. And I am here because I want to help you succeed. I want to help you be a more positive you. And right now, I'm doing a promotion where you will get a one on one holistic fat loss program. um, you can get a free 15-minute call with me. So if you head on over to my IG, under my bio, you can find that Calendly link where you can go ahead and sign up for that. I'm excited to speak with you in person, oh my gosh, through this Zoom virtual life here. So if you are interested or know someone who might be interested in losing 20 pounds in 90 days holistically, please share, sign up. And again, I cannot wait to talk with you next week. Have a wonderful week.